But I didn't want my family to see me start over from the bottom, because I left with nothing. Like we had an argument. We had been arguing, but we had an argument. He was very controlling. I remember the first 6 months of being married, I left. I moved out with my friend, and she encouraged me to go back. And so I always say that people in our generation, women, we are not taught to have a husband. We're not taught marriage. We are taught independence from day one. You can do it. You don't need a man to do it. You can do it. And so we weren't taught marriage. And so all I knew was my daughter. But when I got with him, he made me feel like I wasn't married. So my daughter wanted to sleep with me because she still did up until 11 years old. It was just me and her. So I had to learn to separate and not go sleep with her till she fall asleep, but stay in the bed with him. Well, there was a lot of competition, to the point where when I would come home from work, my daughter would run and jump in my arms. This makes me tear up every time I tell the story. She run and jump in my arms. And so even by the time she was 11, when I got off work, she ran and jumped in my arms. And by the time we had moved into this huge house, I remember him telling me the night before that you came home and you kissed Karina and you didn't kiss me. So I'm like, okay, so now I'm not being a good wife.
Yeah.
The next day, my daughter ran to jump in my arms. And I remember shifting away from her so that I can go and greet him first in the kitchen.
Just to keep that conflict down.
Just to keep the conflict down.
Yep.
And immediately it did. My daughter recognized it, and
oh, wow.
She was in middle school, and we lost our connection.
Yeah.
So for the remainder of the 7 years being married to him, I dealt with him competing with me being a single mom, which is all that I knew since the time she was 3. And I sat down with her one day, her last year of middle school, and I said, what happened with us? You got married. And I was like, wow. So you don't want to hang out with me? And she was like, she shut down, she got quiet. And that's when I knew, plus he and I were just always arguing. She didn't wipe the counter right. She left the light on. She left her fan on. It was always something with her.
Yeah.
And I knew then, I was like, it's over. And then in my mind, I started saying, I got to get out of this. So the day that I left, which was probably 2 years later, we had an argument, and he had took the laptop and the hard drive. I started the show back then, and he took everything from me so that I couldn't leave. Or if I left, I would leave without everything that I had created, which was my livelihood. So I remember that day we was arguing, and I just said I had to go. He took the laptop and all of my stuff. Just give me my footage. I said, give me my footage. Let me have my stuff, and I can leave. He said no. So I began to tear up the house. I threw stuff at the TV, big screen, trying to get back at him. And he called the police. No, I called the police. The police got there, and he told the police that I threw stuff at him and that I hit him. He was yellow, so he was showing this little mark on his hand. I think I threw a spatula. And I was telling them, I just want my stuff out of his trunk, like he's locked my stuff up. Do you know 3 more police cars pulled up in Gwinnett County, and they arrested me because he told them that I had hit him with a spatula. They put me in the car, and the third car that pulled up, he said, I got the husband in the house writing up a statement.
Oh, wow.
I'm sitting there, first of all, with a golf club in my hand. I'm looking like the aggressor. But the fact that I heard that my husband was in the house writing a statement on me because you know what you did to me. And I went to jail. And my daughter was in Ohio, and she was to come back the next day. And it was New Year's. And I said, Lord, I'm about to go to jail. Karina's going to be arriving on the plane. How I'm going to get out? It's the holiday. I'm in the jail, so I'm calling. So my best friend was able to get a hold of her. And if I got out by 11 p.m., I didn't have to stay over the holiday. And child, she got me out. And I got my daughter off the plane the next day. No, my daughter came home that night. That next morning, I was at the house with a U-Haul. I took everything I could. By the time my daughter landed, I had went to my friend's house, redid her entire upstairs, unpacked my daughter's clothes, bought groceries. I had to make sure that it was a home when she got off that plane.
Exactly.
And she didn't miss a beat. And I drove her to school. But I say that I went through that for 7 years to go back to say, I wasn't taught to be a wife. I was taught to do it on my own. So when I began to be a wife, I let him teach me. Yeah. And it was out of jealousy.
Yeah, and it was